Yo, what up, Street Talks there, Kim? Alright, so currently in Westerly, Rhode Island, my new paradise. Anyway, so the thought is simple. What do millennials want? This is like the quadrillion-dollar question right now that everyone's trying to jump on each other and make a bunch of money off these, degenerate millennials who's not so good at spending money or whatever. And the reason why this is important or interesting to me is, often millennials are really criticized for not having financial literacy, blah, 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 blah. But, I think more effective than thinking about, trying to cast some sort of moral judgment, like, millennials, you guys are just a bunch of degenerates, whatever. But I think actually probably more interesting is understanding the psyche of, people's desires, wants, and stuff like that. So these are my basic thoughts because, effectively I'm a millennial, right? So essentially millennials want freedom, millennials want, freedom of expression, freedom of movement. And truth be told, millennials don't really care for money that much. It's like all this care for too much money and stuff like that is just stuff that's been socialized to us by the system, and it's something that millennials don't really care for, truth be told. Millennials want to live kind of more like nomadically. Millennials want to have some sort of lifestyle which allows them more freedom, and millennials just kind of want to do what they're interested and passionate about. Millennials want to follow their passion, and millennials don't want to do millennials don't really care for BS, or they don't want to do no bullshit work. So I would actually say most millennials are actually quite happy to actually not have that much money. They don't really care for money that much. They would just prefer to have more freedom of time. Millennials don't want to have a boss. They want to be self-employed. But then also the problem is a lot of millennials are kind of getting suckered or duped or confused into thinking that in order to be successful, you got to create $1 billion company and sell out to a VC or whatever. And so in some ways, millennial notions of success, I think millennials, we know what we want, but we also kind of care for prestige and success. And we don't really care for prestige too much, but we certainly want to be seen as successful. But then the problem is, very rarely do millennials have the guts or the courage or whatever to actually even define success for themselves. So this becomes problematic because if you cannot define something, it's difficult to aim at it and to kind of try to do it, right? And so if you don't know what or how you define success, you're probably not going to be in a position which allows you the maximum amount of independence and joy in your life. So if the ultimate millennial goal is to be, nomad and stuff like that, then actually I think more millennials, we should adopt a more ascetic lifestyle. A-S-C-E-T-I-C, not aesthetic. Ascetic meaning kind of like in praise of poverty, kind of like living this ghetto fabulous lifestyle. Like even for myself, I only eat cheap industrial meats, 99 cents a pound pork. You could buy a steak for $2.99 a pound, Stop and Shop or Price Right, whatever it is. And so millennials are kind of in this weird position where we think we really need to be care about our health and stuff like that, and we kind of get suckered and duped into kind of going along that route. But yeah, millennials, we just want to be happy and free. And so, if you're watching this and you consider yourself a millennial, or, essentially what is a millennial? Like, as of 2020, if you're like in your 20s, 30s, 40s, you're effectively a millennial. And it is so funny too, because when people call you a millennial, what they mean to say is degenerate, you know, unrealistic, whatever. But yeah, I think the naivete and the blind optimism of millennials is actually what makes us so powerful. But now, like, a lot of my friends who are like in their 30s and stuff like that, it seems like a lot of my friends and people I know are just like, you know, pretty jaded. They wasn't able to become self-employed and entrepreneurial. So it seems like, yeah, like moving forward, entrepreneurship is definitely going to be the future. A future where you could kind of self-dictate more of your own personal life values and goals and stuff like that. So if you're watching this, you consider yourself a millennial or whatever, the goal is towards self-employment, you know, entrepreneurship, to live a sexy poor lifestyle. A sexy poor Spartan lifestyle seems like the best life.